Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to Water Tanks, and today I'm going to be playing in the Tier 10 Czechoslovakian auto-loading medium tank. It is the TVP T50/51, and I'm going to be talking about why this vehicle is pretty much burst damage perfection, or borderline kind of auto-loader perfection in that regard. Now the TVP, it does what the title says. Bursts out a lot of damage, reloads fairly quickly, and does it all over again. And so, a lot like people have been feeling with the Tier 10 Czechoslovakian heavy, which now bursts out 980 damage within 2 seconds of the first shot, the TVP has been around in the game since about 2015 and doing exactly what the Tier 10 heavy is doing now. Now, I've started off this game with an awful bit of tunnel vision. I didn't see that the RU-251 was coming up onto the hill, and while I was pressured against them, I missed my first shot, which means that even with the ram, I was unable to kill the RU-251 with my magazine. I was hoping by going back round that corner, I could pressure the RU-251 into following me and the artillery would hit them, but unfortunately for me, the artillery misses and doesn't believe in using stunning shells, as clearly they were trying to go for that big damage artillery hit with their new second special shell on the vehicle. Nevertheless, we're able to get the RU-251 down, and then in this situation again, look at the end! I realized I was tunnel visioning so hard once again. I must have been sleepy while this game was happening, and I didn't even finish off the TVP that was on the other side. I was so focused on taking out the Kranvang. And then, instead of finishing him off, I put an extra round into the Moistion, which was kind of irrelevant. Nevertheless, just look at the damage per minute that this tank can clock up. It has 2,603 base damage per minute, and when you bump that up with Brothers in Arms, vents on the tank, and even a premium consumable like Buchti, then the DPM of this vehicle gets truly magnificent, and it actually has one of the highest DPMs of any of the Tier 10 auto-loading tanks. It'll be less than the T57 Heavy that we saw on the channel recently. I believe that was last week. But still, very high indeed. But this is what the TVP does. Look how it's able to unload without even having to wait in between its shots, even at the 300 meters distance we were engaging against the Super Conqueror. And this is what I really want to talk about in the video today. I've talked about this a few times on the channel recently, to be fair, as I have been featuring a few autoloaders with the Skoda T56, the Tier 8 Premium Heavy, then focusing on the T57 Heavy and now the TVP. All of those vehicles you're seeing, I am using a vertical stabilizer and a rotation device on this tank as well, which will give 30% reduced dispersion after firing. And on a vehicle like this, when it's all about bursting out the rounds as quickly as you can, as accurately as you can, it's more important, in my opinion, to be able to prevent the reticle from ever getting big in the first place than focusing on something like aim time, which this vehicle only has 2.1 seconds of anyway, to really make yourself effective. By stopping the reticle from blooming out in the first place, I feel like that's what's the most important thing to do. And that allows you to just get mags downrange without having to wait for silly things like aiming. And that allows us in the first, what is that, 3.5 minutes of this game to burst out 6,000 damage, although we have been fairly fortunate with how the engagements have happened, and pretty much it feels like every time I'm about to finish reloading, there's another tank on the enemy team that does something stupid. Look, this definitely isn't the average kind of game for the TVP. I wanted to show you the vehicle at its pinnacle. And hopefully that is putting a full magazine into the Object 704, but unfortunately our final heat round there didn't go in through the side of the Soviet Tier 9 tank destroyer. So one of the things that I want to highlight as well, the reason why I've been playing the TVP a lot recently is because of the 7th field mod on this tank. The 7th field mod on this tank is called Breach Tweaking, or alternatively, New Aiming Gears. And if you decide to take this field mod, you can either choose to make your reload 5% better, but you make your aiming time worse, and you make your reticle after you fire bigger, or alternatively, you can increase the reload of your tank by 5%. I'm hopefully trying to get a ram kill here by the Kranvang, but luckily our wiggling means that he's unable to find our hull there. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can actually make your DPM 5% worse, but you can stop your reticle from blooming out by 15%, and also I believe you can improve your aiming time of the vehicle by 5% as well. And that means that while you will be lowering the DPM, which is an important aspect of this vehicle, what you are doing is just turning the tank into this absolute god tier unloader. But look, this was a short game. I think we've got enough time for another one on the channel today. So while I've been talking about the 7th field mod on this tank, let me clarify. This isn't even the vehicle in its final form. I haven't been playing the tank with the 7th field mod equipped. But if you're able to use that, along with vertical stabilizers and a rotation device, you can get the bloom after firing of this tank, the dispersion after firing. It's a factor from 3 down to 1.88. You're almost halving the bloom that this vehicle has after firing, meaning that you can just manage to unload at full speed. One of the interesting things about sacrificing 5% of your reload, which on this tank actually changes the reload from, I believe, 25 seconds up to 26.25 seconds. So it's 1.25 seconds extra per magazine reload. Now remember, that doesn't actually change how the vehicle unloads. And that's one of the most powerful things about an autoloader. It can be both a great thing for a free-to-play player, but also a great thing if you're wanting to increase or make the reload of the vehicle worse with a field mod like on the TVP. And that is because the intra-clip reload doesn't change. Premium consumables, Brothers in Arms, any feature in World of Tanks does not change the intra-clip reload of the vehicle. And considering that the TVP is so mean with its intra-clip reload, then that means that even if you were to take the 7th field mod and you were to make the reload slightly worse to be able to get the magazine, because the intra-clip reload will still allow you to deliver 4 rounds within 4.5 seconds of the first shot, why would you not want them to be more accurate? And I think that trading about a second, or with crew skills, you're going to probably lose about a second on each magazine in the tank. That is totally worth it to be able to not have to waste any time while you're unloading and to be able to do things like this, where you're just tapping and tapping and tapping and putting in multiple rounds between the autoloader shots there, like on the Progetto 66. And for the TVP, you just got to accept no substitutes for when it comes to that. And I feel like the field mod might make this vehicle transcend into just something absolutely outrageous. I'd also like to clarify that what you're seeing today is not with any bounty equipment. This is all regular equipment that I've been using on the tank. And I can tell you, having played this vehicle a few times with bounty equipment in the past, that it does get absolutely outrageous how much that bloom improves. And I can probably think that with the 7th field mod and using regular equipment, it's probably going to be about the same as if you were using the field mod to reduce the bloom and then using kind of like the bounty or even the bond equipment on this tank. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Then that's why I've been playing it. Field mods are an interesting aspect for me. It's definitely made me want to go and get into some of my tanks more. But I also, as I've been talking about on the channel multiple times recently, feel that it's just increasing the disparity between the player base. There's part of me that likes it, part of me that doesn't like it. The fact that you can customize certain aspects of the vehicle does feel fun, but the cost seems so high. Why wouldn't you be able to just customize those aspects of the tank when you get the vehicle and modify what you have without having to grind 200,000 experience? One thing I'd like to clarify about this replay, unfortunately, is it seems to be a little bit bugged. And no, I was not just pointing my gun right in front of me the entire time. Unfortunately, the turret doesn't seem to be turning, but thankfully the reticle does. Now, a bit of a cheeky situation there against the Gorilla. In this game, I thought, well, we've won, right? We've got double their hit points. We've got 6 extra tanks compared to the enemy team. If I go up and I lose 750 hit points, or even if they high roll and they kill me, it's not the end of the world. And all I really wanted to do was just to keep my luck going. That is what this vehicle also does very well. It does it's incredibly efficient at cleaning up games because the vehicle's fast with a 60 km/h top speed limit with an impressive power to weight ratio of nearly 27, and it will be 27 probably when you get all of the fancy things on this vehicle. And that allows you to just get around, to have DPM, and then importantly to be able to unload quickly as well. And when your intra-clip reload is just 1.5 seconds like on a TVP, do you think I really care about shooting through that building to be able to get to the other side to shut down the Borsig? No, I really don't. And just like that, in the first 4.5 minutes of this game, we're up 5,000 damage, we've got 1,400 spotting, and we are up 7 kills. This thing really does clean up very well, at least in these kind of frenetic, fast-paced games. And, as you all probably know, the speed of the game is getting faster. You have to be able to react quicker to the situation. You have to have more firepower when you get there if you want to get as much out of the battle as you possibly can. And the TVP, it should be no surprise, is possibly the top dog for being able to get into those scenarios and absolutely rip and tear its opponents apart and completely farm up in the situation. So if you're looking for something absolutely outrageous, something absolutely voracious, then look no further than the TVP for auto-loading burst perfection. So our first game on Mines was an ace tanker for our 1,318 base experience, and our 7,500 damage nearly nets us a high caliber, and that was in a 5-minute game. That was a lot of burst damage, and we managed to at least break even or make a slight profit with a premium account, but it's unusual that you have to fire that much in a TVP over a battle. It's not often that you have to do 7,500 damage and dip into those heat rounds that you should really be saving for the heavy tanks. In the next game, this was actually our third mark of excellence for the TVP and a Radley Walters medal, again in a 5-minute game for picking up that 8th kill. 1,426 base experience gives us an ace tanker and a high caliber for our 5,400 damage with a little bit more assistance in that round. So the TVP T50/51, it's definitely not a hull down grinder. If you want something with some armor and an autoloader, you're probably still best to go for a Kranvang or a generic medium tank. However, when you absolutely utterly need to be able to burst out damage as quickly as possible, and then to reload fairly quickly to be able to deliver it again, this Czechoslovakian tier 10 medium, even though it's been in the game for 5 years, is still one of the best for the job. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that's it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, give it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And if you're watching this video as it goes live on Sunday, it's time for the World of Tanks Tech Tree Showcase live very soon on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And this week, I am going to be playing the FV4005 Stage 2. So come along as we play one of the most expensive tanks inside the game. Although with the new intuition, there is more chance with armor-piercing rounds than ever before. This is the hardest hitting tank in the game. If you want to see me play all of the British turreted tank destroyers, hopefully I can try and demystify the line a little bit for all of you. And so, really looking forward to seeing all of you live right now on twitch.tv/QuickyBaby. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.